Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of this superhumanistic podcast where we talk about all things health and wellness. We'll start off with a bit of an introduction here to let you know to go ahead and follow us on everything. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, follow Instagram, leave us a message, leave us a comment. And we look forward to hearing from you so we can improve this podcast and also let us know what kind of topics you're interested in hearing about. A superhumanistic on everything. And a brief recap of last week, we talked about exercise as we're continuing on in our series of our morning routine. So if you haven't heard it yet, make sure you go back and listen to the Morning Routine podcast where we talk about all the different things that we do for a morning routine. Exercise for about 10 minutes each morning, whether it's abs or a full body workout, just to kind of get the blood flowing. So make sure you go back and listen to last week's episode if you want to hear more about exercise as part of a morning routine. Today, we are going to kick it off by talking about journaling, also known as scribing. This is something my wife got me into about a year ago or so. She bought me a journal. She's always done it, or at least, I don't know about always, but for quite some time now. So she was letting me know about all the different benefits of it and just really encouraging me to get started with it. So at this point, we can maybe kick it off talking a little bit about your experience and the benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. So like my husband said, we're moving forward with our morning routine, and as a reminder, there's 6 different steps in the morning routine. So we have scribe, like we're talking about today, the affirmations we've done, visualization, exercise, silence or meditation, and then reading. So today's all about the scribing, journaling. I've done it for as long as I really can remember, since really, I want to say high school, maybe even earlier, middle school. I had a really good teacher that got me into journaling. And just the benefits of it are undescribable. Truly, it has helped me through a lot of different anxiety and stress. So one of the benefits in researching about how journaling or scribing can help you throughout your day, just kind of implementing it into your morning routine, is that it does help with reducing stress. Depending on, what your focus is while you're journaling. So there's different ways you can journal, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But journaling in general does help to reduce stress. It boosts your health and well-being. So writing about, those deepest thoughts that you have or feelings that come up that are contributing to that stress. So being able to write out those feelings and thoughts help to then decrease the stress, lower your blood pressure, improve your mood, and just overall create a greater well-being for your health. Writing or journaling does encourage space from those negative thoughts as well. So sometimes we get into our own heads and aren't able to kind of break away from that negativity that comes into our minds. So being able to journal those thoughts out or emotions that you're feeling does help to create a space between those negative thoughts and who you really are as a person. So it helps to separate those. It provides a way to process those emotions as well. So as you're writing, you're going and processing through those emotions instead of just keeping them inside. So having some sort of prompt can also help with that. Helping with goal setting and steps. So again, depending on the type of journaling or scribing that you're doing, you can put it as a goal. So every morning checking in on that goal, have you accomplished, adding those steps in your morning routine and checking off as you go throughout the week. Okay, yes, I held myself accountable this week to adding 2 minutes, 5 minutes of working out every morning. Have I accomplished that? Yes. And, describing those positive feelings that you feel from accomplishing those goals that you've set. And then the last thing for the benefits is that it does deepen your self-discovery. So through journaling, you kind of discover those patterns in your thought process as well. If you're simply putting down what your emotions are and how you're feeling, then you can see kind of that negative. Maybe it's during the work week, I have more of a negative kind of connotation towards work right now, or like towards waking up early. So you get all of those thoughts written down, and kind of can process through why. So getting to a deeper level of why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. So different ways to get started. I kind of just, for myself, have always learned to put all of my thoughts down. So in middle school, when I first started, I didn't really follow any writing prompts. I just had set a timer. So that's one of the ways that you can get started, is to set a timer. So I set a timer for 5 minutes on my phone and simply wrote any thoughts that came to my mind. And literally it can be, I don't know what to write right now. I'm just going to keep writing until something comes into my mind. And that's what my journal would have in it, are simply like, I really don't know what to write right now. But I was, building that endurance through setting those timers and making sure that I am writing regardless of what those thoughts were. So then as I got older, I started to then just do more of the free writing. And my free writing is more prayers. So sometimes it'll be a verse that I've found that I connected with, and I'll start writing about that. Most of the time it is just the free writing and whatever thoughts and whatever is on my mind, and also showing that gratitude towards having another day and being, more of that positive thought process versus those negative thoughts. So that's kind of how I do it. There are tons of different ways. I know you look up some prompts, I believe.
Yeah, I believe in looking up prompts. I really like just kind of taking my journaling in a certain direction. Sometimes I'll look up prompts related to money, journaling related to financial success. Lately I've been journaling in reference to prompts for gratefulness. So I really like to write about what I'm grateful for today, what little things can I find beauty in around me, and just really appreciating the little things. So journaling has really increased my gratefulness, and being able to journal about gratefulness has been really helpful. I think about journaling, I don't always get benefits right away. A lot of people like to think about journaling or talk about journaling as being therapy, essentially, being able to be your own therapist and avoid having to go to therapy. And this is one way to kind of get your thoughts on paper and really work them out. I think of it as kind of a math problem. Just when you're doing math, it can be difficult to figure out a problem in your head. But if you have a piece of paper, you're able to write down the steps, then you're able to work towards a resolution and really figure it out. So that's the way I think about journaling as well. Just think about it in that regard. Whenever your prompt can just be about how you feel today. Hey, I woke up and I'm feeling a little bit stressed out. So start figuring out what's making you stressed out, identify the stressor, identify where that stress is coming from, what the root cause of it is. And then by the end of your journaling, you're able to work through that issue, become more aware of it, and prevent it from happening in the future. So journaling has been great in that regard, of just being able to figure things out in your head, write it down, and really be able to visualize it. So that's about it in regards to how I feel about journaling. I think for me as well, just some additional benefits to piggyback off you there is it can enhance your creativeness. So you can get more creative in your writing and just in your thought patterns, and be able to live a life of more creativity. I think it's important to set aside some time each morning to journal and just make it a habit, and try to get into that vibe of just making it part of your morning routine, as we've been talking about. As my wife mentioned, you can just free write and kind of just go off with it and see what comes out at the end. make sure you're open and honest with yourself and don't try to censor yourself in any way. And that's going to give you the most benefits when it comes to journaling. And don't forget to review your journal prompt, or what you've written, actually, not really the prompts. Well, I'm sure it's always good to write down your prompt at the top. That's what I do when you use prompts. I'll write down what I'm going to write about, and then below that I'll write. So always good to go back and read over what you wrote in the past, see what you were thinking at that time, and you can really get a good roadmap of how you've evolved and gotten better in life. So journaling has been a huge benefit.
Yeah, it is kind of funny going back to your old prompts or like your old journal entries and reading and seeing how much you've grown. I'm sure a lot of us have social media accounts, and Facebook was really popular a few years ago and now kind of popular still. But I go back and read some of my posts. I'm like, oh, okay, I've grown a lot, right? So it's fun. Definitely get into it. Our challenge this week for everyone then is, add this to your morning routine if you haven't already started. So you should now have 5 different areas that you're adding to your morning routine at this point, if you're following along with us. So journaling is the next one to add. Maybe start with setting that timer and just seeing for how long can you stick to writing. Maybe you do the free writing, or maybe you do anchor your journal. So finding that same time every day, right? Like that's part of why we keep it as a morning routine. So we know okay, it's going to be for 10 minutes at 5 o'clock when I wake up. So making sure it's the same time every day, keeping that journal and morning routine going. Connect the dots is another way you can get started. So just being self-aware, taking a deep breath before your journal, and then noticing what's around you and simply writing out those feelings that you're having. You can explore that prompts or switch shoes. So maybe you got into a disagreement, or maybe there is an important meeting coming up at work. You can try journaling about how other people in the meeting would feel about the topic that you're going to discuss. So many different ways you can get started. That's our challenge for all of you this week, is just to choose one of these ways and get started.
All right. That was this week's episode of the Superhumanistic Podcast. Again, make sure you follow us on everything, leave a comment, and make sure that you also leave a rating and review if you enjoy this podcast, so that others can find it and learn more about health and wellness. We look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.